Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dwania Peele.
And I'm Brooke Gordon. And this is the unofficial review of the CEO Club on Prime Amazon. Do I try Prime Video?
Yes, Prime Video.
Prime Video. No, they changed their name. Yeah.
Yes. We all learned this lesson. So now every episode, we are breaking down the real leadership moments, the tough decisions, the wins, the misses,
and those lessons that every entrepreneur should be paying attention to.
And we're not just here for surface level commentary, folks.
Nope. We are here for the strategy, the mindset, and that CEO level perspective.
Ooh, so if you've watched the episode, or even if you haven't yet, stay with us because we are about to unpack what really happened.
So let's get into it.
Before we get into it, there's something I have to remind everyone to do. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, and join the conversation in the comments. All right, failure to launch. Let's talk, Brooke. Let's talk.
So much in this one, actually. So we start with D. And then throughout the episode, we end up sort of connecting and circling around Isabella and Hannah. But D, I found, was sort of the main through line on this episode. And she has been building momentum, and she is struggling with her brands. So she's got a separate brand for every idea and a separate license. So she is manufacturing nothing. She's licensed everything. And one of her partners, and let us know in the comments if this has happened to you, one of her partners has gone silent. And she's anxious. She knows she needs a new licensing partner and something's not okay, but she's not getting the story. She's not getting the responses. And we start getting a visual and cues and insight into how she copes with the stress.
And the kids nowadays call that ghosting. Yeah. I was going to jump in and say something funny because, sometimes I try to be, failure to launch. I really think that's just about Tommy not knowing how to turn on the stove, but it's okay. He knows how to use that microwave. He will not starve. He's all right.
And he can set a beautiful place setting.
Sure can.
Beautiful place setting, which we know is Lux.
Lux, very Lux, Winnie. It's Lux. We also got introduced to the newest venture of hers, though, Mrs. H, which I think is kind of a cute name. And I would definitely purchase those homeware. So it's her homeware. Homeware.
Yep.
And the line looks stunning.
Gorgeous.
Definitely looks stunning.
Yeah.
But yes, we did get to hear the conversation, hear, how she leans on Tommy, but also learn that pretty much their entire 24 hours in their day, they pretty much talk business, whether they're having pillow talk or not. It's business. I don't know how happy I am about that.
But that's different from the weekly schedule review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found this really interesting, this idea that once a week they sit down, and we've seen this before, right? In a given week, these women they're in New York, they're in Miami, they're in Palm Beach, they're and while Palm Beach and Miami are very close together, it's still not nothing to get there with traffic. And so you start seeing like these flights across the country, and they're trying to organize and make sure that there's childcare and how they're going to manage, and Dee talks about this, particularly for her son, how they're going to manage his comfort level with them being away.
And it also lets me know that they don't take their childcare for granted.
Yes.
Because they want to be present. But it also, and in that same vein, they don't take each other's time for granted. They want to see each other's schedule so that they know, when are we together?
Yeah.
When are our paths crossing? But I don't want them to talk business all the time.
I know, but I get the feeling that they don't. And she talks about some things I wrote down. I love how supportive Tommy Hilfiger is with Dee.
Yeah.
And the way he speaks to her, the positivity that he brings, the reassurance that he brings. She talks about the idea that her first husband, and she gets really deeply emotional at one point talking about her divorce, but her first husband, she talks about the word she used: controlling, submissive, sexy. I enjoy earning my own money, and a secure man wants his partner to thrive. And that shows up in other, no, we don't see everyone's relationship, but in the glimpses that we see, you start to get a feeling, because we see this a little bit with Hannah in the same episode, that's a partnership as well. There's a partnership in the marriage.
I would love for Dee to have a conversation around how not just how she feels about Tommy being her husband, but is that something that is adding to her yearning to succeed, and not just to succeed at one thing, because she has multiple things going.
Yeah.
Is that, like, I want to know how that relationship of him being Tommy Hilfiger is affecting her decisions to want to succeed.
Yeah, because she boldly says, I've been grinding since 2011. That's a long time.
But that's also probably since they've been together.
They are probably pretty close, because they've been together for
15-ish years. So again, I would love for her to have that kind of conversation.
And it can work both ways. Does she feel that she wants to be ambitious because she's married to someone who's so I'm just going to say famous,
successful
brand, right? And then the second part of it is, did this unlock an ambition that had been suppressed from before, right? So and she doesn't talk about that.
Yeah.
She talks about her anxiousness. She talks about how it's never been easy. She talks about how he says, "Oh, Rome wasn't built in the day." So I'm not even close to building Rome. I'm not even building a village.
And that's the thing, because to us, it's as if she's building Rome, but she might be comparing herself to him and saying, I'm not building Rome. I really want that conversation. I really do.
He hints a tiny bit, right? I failed, multiple times. I forget the numbers. But he talks about how he failed so many times before he got to that yes. And we don't, it's hard to imagine Tommy Hilfiger failing in something. It's just literally ubiquitous brand.
Yeah. And the fact also that she's not focusing on one or two things, because if she's licensing her name or her likeness, her brand, and she wants to be heavily involved in all these launches and promos, I mean, you don't see, I'm just going to pull a name like Kathy Ireland at every promo that her name is on. Her name's on a lot of things. Right? So I am interested to learn a little bit more about the why behind why she is pushing so hard at all these things versus maybe two or three of them. Because, like the shoe brand, stunning. The partnership with the purses and stuff, amazing. But then we have the home brand, and then I'm sure there are more things that we will get introduced to.
Clothing line, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And even then we start to learn about her attention to detail. She's got a trunk show happening, and specifically they've designed shoes for that trunk show. So they're in Dallas. They've got yellow roses on the shoes. Like, the level of detail that she's going to. And yet, if we were working with an entrepreneur, we would say, listen, don't go so specific, because now you've invested in this, design, this manufacturing, you've got a lineup happening, all in the chance that someone might. So if it's a marketing piece, that's one thing. But if it's actually part of the collection, is that too specific? And here we've got this it's not even niche. It's niche for this one opportunity.
Yeah. And one opportunity in one small corner of the world.
Yeah. I really found that in what she does so interesting. You have this level of specificity and level of detail, and yet she and Lauren are sitting out in a cafe, and Lauren, I love it, Lauren gets a bug in her hair, right? And she's freaking out, and she's knocking this bug out, and then she's freaking out when she sees it on the ground. And Dee is a problem solving. She knocks back her espresso in one fell swoop and puts the cup over top of it. And someone walks by and they're like, "Did you drop their cup?" She's like, "No, there's a bug under it."
I mean, they're in Central Park. You're gonna get bugs. But I did love that scene.
And it's not even like, all of us have had like that bug that drops in your hair and you're like freaking out. But it's just the way he like springs to action, and you can see this like mom in her who is so competent and capable, and just like, you're upset about the bug, here, let's just make it go away.
Yeah. I do, I am enjoying Dee on my screen. I do enjoy seeing those different parts of her, because previous episode we saw her with Winnie, and then we got to see just the quirky fun side of her too, and seeing her with Lauren. So, she's a different, I don't want to say she's a different person, but you see different sides of her with each of the women.
Yes, you do. And it really speaks again to how multifaceted all of us are as people. Like, how many, especially when you're a multi-potentialite, you're someone who is just got so many ideas, and you're really good at every single one of them, and you end up sort of having these different facets or elements of yourself that you have. And we've seen that in the previous episode. If you haven't seen our unofficial review of episode 3, definitely go back and catch that. But we see this idea of them also celebrating each other with breadth, and that can really only be done when you have a team. And here we're seeing another element of team, which is in this case, in Dee's case, her spouse partner.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what else happened on this episode?
Oh my
lot. Isabella.
Yes.
Speaking of detail.
Wow. And I appreciate so much that she's inspired by the feedback and the compliments in the reviews. Are we not all, right? And how many times do you stop looking at all the comments and reviews, and there she is, she's looking at all the comments and reviews. So normal.
And we get introduced to her clothing brand, Wrangle.
I think it's Wrangle. Yeah.
Wrangle.
Her mom's maiden name.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, her mom's surname. Yeah.
Surname. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought, just the pressure around this photo shoot when things aren't working out the way that you want them to work out, or things aren't getting, before we even get to the shoot, she's reviewing the items of clothing. And, even though she's selling them to a wholesaler, she is looking at, they are measuring the waistbands. She's looking at not the outside of the clothing, the inside of the stitching, and she's finding loose threads, and she is like, look, this has to be perfect. People are spending money on this, and they need to have the best quality. And in the same breath, she says nothing is wrong with fast fashion because you're not spending a lot of money on it, but if you're spending money on something, you expect it to have a certain level of quality, and she really cares.
And I found, so there's a dichotomy. This one, she's travels from Miami up to New York to go and see the samples of an eco brand. And then later has a photo shoot in Miami where she flies the team down from New York. I'm like, what, if they're the expensive people, why didn't you just go? Like, there was so much. Yeah, there was a couple things in that just felt like, when we talk about that idea around strategy and unity, when we talk about what it means to incorporate the brand all the way through, this is just small instances where I love what she's doing, and it's not at all a knock. It's to really show she thinks deeply, but there's a couple places on the operations where she hasn't carried it through.
Yeah, because what is constituting it an eco brand in this case? I mean, there might have been photo shoots in New York that we didn't see. There might have been other things, but this is what we saw. So this is what we're commenting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I still do feel a level of stress when, it's like 20 minutes remaining before everyone has to leave and the final outfits show up.
Oh my.
We can relate.
I can relate to that on so many levels. So if you haven't seen, there's this piece of clothing. It was reworked. It's supposed to arrive at 10:30. At 9:00, they start inquiring. At 3:00, the photo shoot's ending. It arrives at 2:40. So it's 4 hours late from the delivery time. And the only reason why they find it, and again, there's that word, she's got, okay, you tell us. You know what I'm talking about.
She has her team around her that is willing to do what needs to be done and take action when needed.
But she's got a code word for it.
Oh, yes, she does.
Execute.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that was so interesting because she probably has like 1,000 ideas. And the ones that she's really serious about, she says, execute. And they all know, oh, okay, this is actually the one that needs to happen. And you really get the feeling she does not use it all the time. She really holds this word in reserve that she's like, when it needs to get done and I'm really serious, it needs to get done. And the word is execute.
I mean, her assistant was Lewis Hamilton in that car and chased down the delivery driver, got the package, pulled up, screeching halt, ran inside with the package. I mean, it was lovely to see.
And she keeps saying, I need to be the executive director, like the executive creative on this. I need to be focused. I need you to just take care of this for me. And there was a couple things about coming in that I jotted down a couple notes because I loved this. There was a few things that I noticed. They put in a lot of hours to keep the momentum going, a lot of hours, and not just in the travel. They are going to where the business is in their case, but they have the idea that it's not enough to have the idea. They have the connections, they have the funds to make it actually happen.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, we talk about what is it that makes them different from a typical entrepreneur. That's one of the things. But there's also this idea of the high standards that builds trust for her clients. She says, if I fail, it's all on me. It's all on my shoulders.
Yes.
So that piece around team, she's mindful. She's thoughtful on the fact that the stress for her is if those two pieces in the collection are not in the photo shoot and on the bill of sale, the wholesaler might reject the whole lot because of what was promised. So for her, I've spent all this money to fly all these people down and I'm going to lose this whole day's work because of a delivery that didn't arrive. And, how often have we sat by the door waiting for whoever our delivery people are, last mile delivery to deliver something?
A lot. But now I have the same question I had with the Talia piece in the last episode. Her wholesalers that she's pitching to is in Brazil and Portugal. And I'm asking again, well, I should probably double check. What is Isabella's background again?
That I don't know.
I wonder if it was it in her intro, in her bio. I'm just double checking. It doesn't. Yes, she was born and raised in Brazil. Okay. So that I can understand why she's pitching to Brazil and Portugal. She was born and raised in Brazil. Okay, understood. The eco component still comes into question because, where are all these things going to be made in the United States? Are they made in Brazil? That's another question that I have. And I'm also interested to know about the marketing tactics behind this. Is she going to go to Brazil and do some marketing? Is this because this is her brand?
Yep.
This is all her. And, will she be modeling? Because her kids want her to be the models. I thought that was so cute. Why aren't you modeling, Mommy? You're the model. It's like, I am not the model today because
I
the
know.
clothes will look great on someone else today.
Actually, I thought her phrasing was really beautiful because you and I care about language and the words
Yes.
people use. I am just the creative director in this. And she says, there's a prettier girl who will look good in the clothes.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
And especially, it's interesting to say out loud, but it's also interesting to say to your children who are already, they are saying you are beautiful, you're pretty, but you're the model. And to use the word just and to say someone else is prettier in it.
It was a real,
Yeah.
it surprised me because there was, I guess, a part of me going in, I didn't have expectations, but I guess I did have expectations because I thought these women would be really confident. And what we see, we were just talking about Dee really struggling. And here you have Isabella using language that really is quite diminutive. And it's very interesting to hear this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing she said that was really interesting. She's up before they're watching the sunrise. She and her girls are watching the sunrise together. Now, hopefully this is in like December and it's not so bad, but really got me thinking, like, she's up crack of dawn with her kids, right? She's talking about how she doesn't balance it all at all. She's very, very raw about this. I do not balance it all. I do it all, but I don't know that there's balance. I am tired all the time. But I'm doing all I ever wanted, so it's okay.
And she seems like she makes time. The reason probably also why she does everything in Miami, she wants to take her kids to school in the mornings and she wants to be able to pick them up in the evenings. Yeah. So that is her level of balance in that I want to be here so that I can do these things for my family, and everything else is going to work around it, which is kind of brings us back to episode 1 with Serena saying now in her new life, everything else has to work around her time with her children and being a mother.
Yeah. And Isabella, as you're saying this, absolutely. What is the thing that you can do? You can bring a team in, but you can't replace that moment with your kids. And sure enough, the photo shoot was done at 3. Yes, they have flights to get back to, but there's probably also school pickup and after school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was good to see it all come together. I am going to look up her stuff as well.
Excellent.
I'm not saying I'm buying all these people's things, everyone. I'm looking them up. I will report back at some point. And if you see me wearing a piece, just know where it came from.
We'll have to have that unofficial review after the debrief.
Yes.
So failure to launch. And then
Hannah, we got to talk Hannah.
With fundraising.
Yeah.
So she's got a $40 million fund. She's trying to close $2 million. I don't get the feeling that she's really actually, I think she said she's trying to close 15% of the fund. But she doesn't have enough yet to get there. And I can't tell if she's 2 million short of the 15 or she's just going after the first 2 million. It's really not clear, but she's given herself a timeline. And she's pushing hard on that effort. She's got a 4 and a 16-month-old, which are like little. And we start to see all kinds of pieces, but in particular, her and Lauren.
Yeah, that was a little tough, but it was a lesson. And, Lauren wanted to hear her out. I had a feeling that if it was just Lauren, it would have been different. But, Lauren also has to be a smart businesswoman because friendship is not what is going to advance you in business. You can make deals with friends, but they still have to be lucrative.
Yep.
And she brought in her business partner and Hannah flew down.
But before we get there, she's gone to New York first to meet. We see that first meeting with Lauren of how do we even get at the table? How did she get at the table? And I love this because it's her daughter who is introduced her to Lauren.
Yes, because she met her daughter. They became friends. And then she met Lauren's daughter. They became friends. And Lauren's daughter
connection somewhere between Hannah and Lauren's daughter. And then what's really interesting is that Lauren has her own firm. She's got all she's got a lot of advisors in place. Hannah has been on cap tables, but she's never actually been on the other side.
Yeah.
And she's having a really hard time asking for the money, and really having to, she talks about like picking and choosing very carefully in this economy crisis. And what you see is Lauren saying, I'm going to make some introductions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, I want you to send, I want to know everything that you're up to.
Yeah,
And
send the deck.
I'll send you, no, she says, I'll send you an email.
Mm-hmm.
And as an investor, I thought she's looking to see how spread thin Hannah is.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first thought when she said that. It was very casual. Oh, tell me about all the things that you're up to. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, you're testing to see how deep is this team.
Yeah. And it's not very deep.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hannah goes to meet
Lauren and Jack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, she is quite nervous, but she went in and she did pitch. And this was a lesson for me in that I like that she asked for what she wanted. Yes. But I can appreciate Lauren's reasoning of saying no, because she's not going to say, yes, I'm going to write this large check, but not have more control, especially when there's not a huge team backing this fund. If she was able to get more control, I think she would be in.
Yeah, they want to be on the advisory board. They don't want to be a limited partner. They want to be an active partner.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that she wants to be an active partner because she wants to bring the experience to the table. And I think of, you and I are familiar with the Dragon's Den and some of the other shows. Mm-hmm. There's, a different level with each one of those investors. And a couple of them are extremely hands-on. Yeah. I'm going to give you my money. You are going to benefit from not just my wisdom, but my say so.
Yeah. And my team, because I'm coming in with a team. It's not just me. No. And I think Hannah would benefit from that. But I think Hannah's crutch is that she is so focused on trying to build something of her own to separate herself from the legacy that she was afforded. Hold on, I have a sidebar. Mm-hmm. There was one statement that was made that had one eyebrow up for me. When Hannah went to visit Lauren initially, and she told her about, everything she's doing. And when she was leaving, Lauren says, well, yes, this is a great opportunity for you to build that generational wealth. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, but she comes from money. She has generational wealth. You might not have. I don't assume. And you should know that.
But Hannah talks a lot about the fact that she has made her own way and made her own money, her whole
right.
Right. And it's a point of pride and very important to her. And the fact that she and her spouse, again, I was shocked how much was on camera. I was shocked that no conversation with Lauren was on camera. And again, it was I'm not saying never, I'm just saying not now.
Yeah.
Because they had a misalignment in expectations and values.
But then you should go back to her.
She would go back to her.
Go back to her. But that brings me back, because I had to sidebar with that, because I did not really like that statement, because that was an assumption that was made. And I would think that Lauren would know Hannah's background. So to say that, Hannah's building generational wealth when she's like 3-4 generations deep with Seagrams, she has it. She just doesn't want to touch it. She just wants to build something of her own. There's a difference, right? So for Hannah now, she is so focused on not touching that generational wealth that she is cutting off her nose to spite her face.
So we don't know all the circumstances around that, because one of the things that's really clear, she's divided in her action. We talked about spreading too thin. She clearly doesn't have the same team as the others.
Yeah.
And so because she's so focused on the fund, her regular income has been dropping. It's the lowest amount of money she's ever made, because she's not posting content, and that's how she makes money. And she and her husband are having this they almost have a fight on camera. And he talks about how you're trying to improve our lives, the lives for yourself and for our family. And, she's like, I appreciate this conversation, but I really want it to be over. And then like rejects a hug. And he was just, you could see the supportiveness. You could also see his stress. And so that comment with generational wealth, I thought was really interesting, because clearly there's some financial restrictions that she is making her own income, and she does live on it. Because if they could tap into something else, a trust fund or something else that's there's clearly a gap there.
I would love to know the story behind that, because I have a feeling it's not a no, you can't touch this. I feel like there are strings attached.
That she doesn't want.
There's strings attached, because there would never be any mention of her even being the heir to that. She wouldn't talk about it.
She might also be the heir, but not have access yet.
But it doesn't mean that because usually if it's something like that, it's not zero access, it's limited access, right?
Yep.
So there is something else. I wish we knew what it was, but I do find it interesting that, I shouldn't say I find it interesting. I like the fact that the entire conversations were had on camera, because we need to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if that was the ugly, it wasn't that ugly. It's fine. She communicated she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. That's that. There was nothing else to be said.
No, and then she breaks down into tears a little bit later. I think one of the other pieces is, you and I don't really talk about this, but this idea of generational wealth comes with the concept of the family office. And it comes back to this conversation we had earlier with Dee and Tommy, that they don't really have, like, they just in lockstep keep talking. Business is something they talk about. That is a huge underlying part of their conversation and common interest. And it's what they do, but it's also where they speak. And we had seen in a previous episode, Tommy come to one of her launches, and that's lovely. But it really got me thinking, there's a generational, it's more than generational wealth. It's also the concept of the family office and this separation of business and family. And how do you separate the two? And can you separate the two when your table setting is one of your own products? So of course you're going to you can never let it go.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also when for the Hilfiger household, they're all in the same business. Because Tommy is not just clothing, it's an entire household brand. And Dee, it's the same business. It's a household brand. Now, if we're looking at Hannah, her family business would be something totally separate than what she's doing. Even the two things that she's doing, they don't meet.
No, and I made a note of that. How many times have you and I really talked about the importance of knowing your numbers? And I found that while she talks with her husband that she's managed other people's money and she's done all of this work and she's taking it a step further, I didn't hear that in the what they allowed us to see of the conversation. I didn't hear that in her. She talked about her fit is around the subject matter. It's, who she's choosing to invest in. And she got really animated and knew the company. And then they were like, well, what about the numbers? No, I don't know those. And and there was a gap there. And then suddenly Jack's like, no, Jack signals to Lauren and Lauren says no. And I thought that was really interesting, that her level of understanding of finance, she may understand how it all works, which is very important, but that's not the same as deeply understanding the accounting and the math and the projections and how that's all going to get there. And I think that part's also really important. And that I actually felt was kind of weak. And when I realized that, it didn't surprise me that the fund is not being as successful as you'd expect.
I just want to see in future episodes her go right back to Lauren with open arms saying, we definitely would love for you to be a part of the fund and you will have this much involvement in terms of advisory, because that would really open up the floodgates.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because she cannot do it by herself. And, I'm going to look at this also from the lens of a Black woman, in that I think one part of her wants to do it on her own, just because sometimes we have a habit of, I don't want to say we enjoy the struggle, but we feel like we have to struggle, even though we don't have to, because she's in a position where she doesn't have to, but she's choosing to, because we feel like we have to prove ourselves. Because, historic, like, not her, I don't know, parents or grandparents, and like she's from a biracial household, and she probably does feel like she has to do that much more, because that's what we're taught. You have to do twice as much. So that's probably something that is making her not accept all the help that's been given to her. I really
get a feeling that she's trying to do it on her own, and it's her legacy. And her husband keeps trying to ground her, why is your partner not doing, like, you don't need to be doing this, your partner could be doing it. Like, you heard that in the previous episodes. There's just these little pieces where he's like, it doesn't have to be you. And how many times have you and I said that to Andre? It doesn't have to be you. What would this look like? Brought in a team member.
But they, and even because her partner is also another Black woman, and I feel like there's also the hesitation of giving that control. And when she is looking at it going, I'm trying to do this for women, but I'm also trying to do this for Black women, and I don't want to give that control to someone who's not a Black woman. So there are a lot of pieces that might be into this that we might not be seeing, or she might not be talking about just yet. But I'm interested to know more.
I'm excited to see the next episode.
Yeah. Me too. Everyone, this was failure to launch. I don't know who failed to launch, but quite a few. Well, we know who failed to launch.
Oh, it certainly wasn't easy.
Now, we want to hear from you. Please let us know what you think, if you agree with us or disagree with us or anything like that.
And drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading them. We've gotten some fabulous messages so far.
Yeah, and make sure that you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next unofficial review.
Because the boardroom conversations do not stop when the camera's cut.
All right, so we will see you in the next episode. Bye.